It's almost Christmas! Before we get into today's video, I did want to let you guys know that this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please remember to be kind to everybody everywhere, in your everyday life, in your home, in the grocery store, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate to anybody, anywhere. Good morning, my lovelies, my beauties, my friends. My name is Christina and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really hope that you will subscribe, stick around, take a chance in hearing some things that I have to say. And if you are a returning subscriber, y'all already know, y'all are my babies. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. I hope you all have had a wonderful week. I hope that nobody has been running around in the crazy last minute Christmas shopping environment, right? Everybody, y'all been done since August, right? We've all been done, right? Since August. No, I'm just kidding. So I hope that you guys are excited. Merry Christmas Eve. Thank you all that are here on Christmas Eve for carving out a little bit of time to spend with me over here to talk about one of our Friday topics. And for everybody catching this video the next day or the next few days or the next week, thank y'all for being here too. I hope that you guys had a wonderful Christmas Eve and Christmas with your families, your loved ones, your animals, yourself, whoever. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about a young man that actually used to be a YouTuber. Now, this is a very intriguing case to me because there's actually a lot of footage of this young man, and I love doing videos like this where I can actually show y'all the person that I'm talking about via videos and pictures. And I heard about this story from our oldest son, Jordan. Y'all know Jordan? 20 years old. And I had never heard about this young man named Randy Stair. And that's who we're going to be talking about today. And so let's just start at the beginning. Randy Stair was born on September 17th, 1992 in Pennsylvania. Now, Randy lived in Pennsylvania his whole entire life. He lived with his mother and father, and just 2 years later in September as well, his little brother Jeremy was born. And so it was just them four growing up. I know that they had a dog and maybe different animals throughout Randy's life, but he was the oldest of two children. Now, Randy growing up was described as very shy, okay? Not just a little shy, but like very shy. He did not like any attention on him by no means. Even teachers would say that when they would come up to talk to him in class that he would stare at the ceiling. He did not really want to make eye contact, and he was just almost crippling shy in some instances as a child. It is said that Randy didn't have a lot of friends growing up. There were kids that tried to reach out to him. Randy even told a story about a little girl that he named Kelly. That wasn't actually her real name, but he kind of renamed her while talking about her in videos, that he would talk to at recess on the playground. And she asked him at one point if he wanted to be her boyfriend, and Randy said no. And that was another thing about Randy. Randy growing up all through middle school and high school never had a girlfriend. He said many times that he never wanted to have a girlfriend. And because of that, he felt a lot of pressure from his family, from his younger brother who did have girlfriends, and he just kind of stuck to himself all the time. And because he never showed any interest in any girlfriends or any friends either, but we'll get there, his parents started asking him when he was in high school if he possibly liked men, and Randy said no. And he even said this in YouTube videos as well. He didn't like men in a romantic way. He just really kind of didn't like anybody. Randy Stair started doing YouTube videos when he was a young teenager. As a matter of fact, Randy even said in his videos that he didn't like people at all. So Randy did really good in school, all through elementary school and into middle school and beginning into high school. Like, he would just go through the motions. He would go to school. He would study for his test. He would make good grades. He would, be at home after school, and he would get on his computer. He spent all of his time when he wasn't in school, alone in his room on his computer or watching television. Randy actually said that when he was younger that TV became kind of like his best friend and his escape. Randy also said that internally he wanted people to like him. He wanted friends. He wanted to be able to talk to people, but he also didn't. As soon as somebody would talk to him, he would shut down and he just wanted them to leave him alone. So he grew up feeling very confused and lost. That inner turmoil of seeing other kids laughing and in groups and hanging out together and wanting to be a part of it, but the minute somebody talked to him, shutting down and just wanting them to get away from him. Randy first became interested in uploading his YouTube videos when he was in the 8th grade. Him and some of the other kids were on a ski trip, and one of the other kids wanted Randy to record him like doing a trick while he was skiing, and Randy did. And so then he thought maybe he could do it as well. So Randy, being alone in his room with his little camera and his computer, started to record all different kinds of videos. I mean, the types of videos where he was flipping or stubbing a toe or using his stuffed animals and pretending like they were talking to each other. There was even like the scene where he was in the hot tub and there was a well, like an actual well, like, I feel like it doesn't sound right when I say, y'all know what I'm talking about, like the mammal, a whale. That's how you say it, whale. He was in a hot tub with his whale on the side of it, and the whale was talking to him in the hot tub. Those types of videos. A lot of y'all's teenagers made those videos too. I know mine did. But anyways, and so he started uploading them. Well, his younger brother, Jeremy, who definitely had the personality and the girlfriends and all of that, saw his videos and just laughed at him, picked on him anytime he could. But Randy still continued to create these videos because it's really what he wanted to do. So when he was younger, 8th grade, getting ready to move on into the 9th grade, YouTube wasn't what it is now. There was a YouTube partnership, but it wasn't like it is now. And you had to be asked from YouTube to join their partnership program. Well, at some point, there was another YouTuber who was a quite large YouTuber, saw one of his videos and posted a clip of him playing with his toys in his YouTube video. When he did that, Randy got a bunch of new followers, people that were watching his videos, commenting, and they really liked his content. Because of that, they invited Randy into the YouTube partnership, and that to Randy was a dream come true. He had found what he loved at the time, and he thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a YouTuber. He continued to make videos. However, the views did not continue to come in. People watched it for a while, and he did have a small, loyal audience, but it wasn't enough for him to become like a famous YouTuber like it seems Randy was expecting to be. See, Randy, in my opinion, was a young man that was kind of in his own little world. Everything in his own world was the most important thing going on. And anything that came against that was an enemy to Randy at this point. As a matter of fact, when Randy got into the 11th grade, this is when he said his attitude and his views on life and his views towards his parents especially began to change.
And looking at colleges and all this, and this is when I really started to just hate everything about school. I didn't want to go to school anymore. I didn't want to try on the tests anymore. I didn't study like I used to, and, you know, my grades were obviously affected by that. But, you know, school, I never felt like school was ever, I never felt like school was ever for me. The more I went, the more I just stopped caring. And I just flat out didn't care about school. It was obviously affecting my parents, and they were lecturing me constantly about how important it is to get good grades and being able to get a decent job and all this, and it just kept getting darker in my head.
Randy would then go on to say that he was always closer with his mother, and his little brother Jeremy was always closer with his father.
Everything around me was just dark, and that's when he started lecturing me, you know, you have no friends, you don't hang out with anybody, you don't go anywhere, you don't do anything, you just sit in your room on the computer all day, and that's all you do. And inside I'm thinking, this is what I like to do, you know, this is who I am. From that point forward, I never looked at him the same way again. I hated his guts. My brother connected with him well. That filled that void. I connected with my mother well. Because my mom, I always felt like I could tell anything. My dad, I couldn't. I couldn't talk to him about stuff. He just wasn't that type of person to me. My mom was, and you always had that, the mother-daughter or the mother-son connection, but it's just my mother was so much more understanding, so much easier to talk with, and wouldn't freak out on you if you did something really bad. Like, you'd get through it. She was just easier to talk with.
That was the relationship, and he just despised his dad at this point. He actually wanted to drop out of high school, but he was continuously pushed to finish, and he hated it every step of the way. Randy had a large superstition about the number 13. As a matter of fact, he really just felt like it was like an evil number, and it brought all kinds of bad stuff. He hated the number, and he said that in 2013, all of his superstitions came true.
This was when all this stuff happened to me in about a 4-month span of time. I can't remember exactly everything that happened, but 2013, I'm always superstitious about the number 13. I never liked the number 13. I always felt it was unlucky, and what happens? Second week of January 2013, got word that Matt died. About 10 days after that, my great-grandfather died. Okay. About a week and a half, 2 weeks after that, I totaled my car. 10 days after I totaled my car, my brother totaled his car. $7,400 some dollars between both cars of damage. So that was a lot in that amount of span. On top of that, the well pump in our yard broke, and about 6 feet of our yard collapsed and caved in, and we were flooding our basement. That was like mid-January 2013.
Now, in my opinion, at this point of Randy's life, he really kind of started to slip away from things that, in my opinion, I guess reality, like he was really infuriated with his father about having to think about his life, which is something that he absolutely should have been thinking about in 11th grade. Okay. The severe superstition around the number 13. And it really didn't help that all of those things happened to him during that time. And it's just like more and more, he started to lose touch with reality and kind of slip into this world that he started to create in his own mind. Now, when Randy wasn't making videos or creating things online, he was watching cartoons. Randy was watching this cartoon called Danny Phantom. Do you know it? Well, this was one of the characters right here, Ember McLean, this fictional character right here. Danny said the first time he saw Ember, they had a connection. Okay, stay with me here because it's kind of hard to follow. It's going to be those type of things that you're like, huh? A do what? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Okay. He said that he had a connection with Ember, that it was like chemistry.
And in March was when I got into Ember, and then it just felt more than familiar. That's all I can say. I just kept looking at her, and it's like she got it. She understood me. I understood her. We had feelings for each other, and it was way more than just a simple connection. It was life-changing. And this is just a static 2D flattened image on a screen. I went into a zone that I had never really been in before. Nothing seemed to matter. It was just like a magical dark place. And it was a dark place. It wasn't happy sunshine rainbow stuff. It was a dark and depressing place.
This cartoon kind of has like a morbid history, which this seems a little strange to me to even explain, but this is part of the story. This is why maybe Randy connected to this fictional character. Ember was actually a ghost that had passed away in high school in a house fire. and she was unpopular in high school, and so now she had like this crappy personality. This is a cartoon, you guys, okay? And Randy connected with this cartoon, became obsessed with this cartoon. The little song that the cartoon sung, he listened to it on headphones over and over again on repeat, and convinced himself that he was in love with this ghost cartoon character, okay? Then he convinced himself that when he died one day, that he would go and be one of these fictional characters alongside Ember. Randy claimed that Ember was his first crush, and he would say that Ember got him. She really understood him. He said that he just kept looking at her, and she would understand him, and he could understand her too. And this is when Randy would create a fictional character named Andrew Blaze, so he could be part of this fictional world in his mind as well. And he started making YouTube videos on it, and he had people that really liked his content. Now, I don't think his videos became, you know, like a PewDiePie with 100 million subscribers and people were talking about him everywhere like he wanted and how he expected people to talk about him. But he did have a core audience that did keep coming back and watching his stuff. Now, this is going to be hard for me to try to describe this part of Randy because I don't think he quite understood what was going on with him, and we'll never know exactly what was going on with him because of the ending of this story. But at some point along the way, he became so obsessed with this fictional character, Ember, that he created a female version of this to be with Ember. So I know it's kind of hard to follow, you guys, but the two cartoon characters, he would edit them holding hands, and he was convinced at this point that he could feel Ember so much that he knew that deep down inside now that he was meant to be a woman. And this is when I think Randy started to really struggle with his gender.
I look at my brother, it's like, wow, that's like what I should look like. But then it goes back to me saying, it's like, you know, I'm a female soul, I'm a girl. Girls don't look like that.
From here on in this video, we're going to talk about undereating, EDs, self-harm, and murder and self-harm all the way to the end, if you know what I mean. So if that's going to be too disturbing for you guys, please don't watch the rest of this, but we're going to keep going here. So he was like really, really thin, and he would show his arms on his videos and say, I've got the body of a woman. He called himself a cross-dresser, and he said he struggled. He talked about the word, he talked about transgender, but he kind of went back and forth like he didn't really know if that was what he was or what. So he was really struggling with his identity completely. I mean, to a point that he was in love with a cartoon ghost, okay?
I ended up going into my mom's closet and putting on her bras or her tops or her jeans or whatever and just wearing girl clothes. And it just felt right. And it all goes back to Ember in a way. Just like that black top. You know, my mom had a bra that looked somewhat similar to that, and I would put it on, I would, you know, like look in the mirror and pretend I was singing into a microphone or playing the guitar, you know, and my skin was really, really pale white, so it looked somewhat close to Ember. That carried its way all the way into late college with wearing my mom's clothes once in a while. I eventually bought my own stuff, so once I had a credit card and everything and could buy online, and that's when I started shopping through American Eagle and Aerie, whatever it's called, and started buying stuff from there.
And at this point, this is when he had himself convinced that he had a soul contract. Now, a soul contract, the way I'm understanding it, is that your soul is out there floating in space or wherever it's floating in another dimension. Okay. Now, some of y'all, I think some of y'all believe in this too. You guys know I don't. I believe God, Jesus. I believe we going to heaven. I believe all that good jazz. Okay. But he believed in like the next dimensions and stuff, and that you would choose your life and you would come down to earth. And once you finished your soul contract here, then you would pass away and go back up and be wherever you wanted to be. He actually did a video that I watched, I'll leave it linked down below, where he said whatever you want to happen in the afterlife is what is going to happen. So if you believe in Christianity, and he literally said this, then that's what's going to be in the afterlife. If you believe that you're going to be a ghost rock star with Ember and the EGS and this other world, that's what you're going to do, and that's what I'm going to do. So he was planning on his death, and he was going to go with this girl, and he was going to die and become this female version. You guys following me here? It was a lot to keep up with. Bless his heart. He was really having a hard time, you guys. So at this point, he decided, he said he always knew that he would not live past his 20s. Like, he knew he had this soul contract. He was not going to live past his 20s, and he was getting ready to go. This young man had a date. Not only did he have this date, but he talked about it many times in his YouTube videos.
Today's April 4th, 2017, and I have just over 5 months to live. It's looking like September 7th is going to be the day, the night rather, and here I am.
He talked about it. When he got down to 5 months, he started counting it down. I've only got 5 more months to live. Now, people were watching these videos, and I don't know if they thought this was another skit. I don't know if they thought that he was just maybe out of touch with reality. Right around this time, he started working at this Wise supermarket with his father. See, his parents had been pressuring him. Now he's in his 20s, okay, living with his parents in his dark dungeon of a doggone room on a computer all day. As a mom right now, I can tell you right now, I bet they were losing their minds. I know I would have been. I'd have been like, sir, I would have probably done the same exact things that his parents did. We'll get to my opinion at the end. But nevertheless, they told him he had to get a job. He went to go get a job at McDonald's. He did his first 3 hours of training there and he quit. And his dad was infuriated with him because he was like, okay, you're in your 20s. You're living with us. You're not trying to do anything with your life. And you've had your first job and you quit after 3 hours. So his dad, who was the manager at this Wise supermarket, said, I'll get you a job working with me. So he got him a job there. Now, Randy would say he hated the job. He hated working with his dad, hated everything about it, but he had to go to work. And during this time, his parents were still pressuring him about what you're going to do with your life. And in the back of Randy's mind, he kept thinking, it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to be alive much longer anyways. And I'm going to go be in my fictional world with my cartoon character soulmate, this Ember. And we're going to live happily ever after as these punk rock star ghosts. During these last few months of Randy's life is when I saw him really like pouring out his heart and soul to the camera on YouTube, which again, I watch these videos and I'm like, well, his parents never watched his videos. They would have seen what he was talking about. I mean, he literally talked about everything that he did. And you guys stay with me here. He started off talking about how depressed he was and living with depression. And he also encouraged his audience to hide their depression from their family. Don't ever do that. Please reach out and get help if you are feeling depressed. Talk to somebody. Please don't do what he said to do.
I am a very angry person. Believe it or not, I am. But I'm sad more than anything. You know, that's what depression does to you. You have anger and everything, but you also have extreme sadness, and that's most of what this is. And now knowing that I am going to be dead in a week, it's like I feel like excited. You know, as the date draws closer, I get more and more like frustrated that I'm not gone yet, but at the same time I get happier and more excited.
And he also talked about being ready to be out of this body. He was in the wrong body, and be into the next life in the right body.
I just can't describe that desire to go. The desire to be a woman again, and the desire to just get out of this body and get out of this world. It is indescribable. I honestly don't know how I'm still doing it. I've gotten lazy with it, and I won't lie about that. I don't work nearly as hard as I used to now, because it doesn't matter. Nothing matters anymore. Nothing matters anymore, it doesn't. This is it. I do enough to get by without being a problem.
And around this time as well, he started to become obsessed with the Columbine High School mass shooting. He actually even got a shirt, this shirt right here, made to match one of the shooters from the Columbine High School. He joined the groups, the forums, and was talking. And I didn't realize this, but there's actually forums and groups where there's people that idolize and worship, like almost worship these two young men that shot up the Columbine High School, the massacre that killed many, many students and teachers and innocent people. And he started wearing the shirt. And that was another thing. He said, my parents didn't even recognize I kept wearing the shirt, that he wore. To him, he was sending every type of signal that, hey, there's a problem here, but nobody was stopping to question or listen to him. And this is when he had his mother take him to get a weapon. Now, I don't understand why he did this, because he was plenty old enough to get his own. Maybe he didn't know what to do. Maybe because he spent all of his time in his room and didn't have any friends and go do anything. And his dad was always like griping at him, like, go have fun, go hang out with your friends. And all he wanted to do was be on his computer in his room, that he didn't really know, like, where do I go to do this? So he had his mom take him. Then he started posting these videos on YouTube of him outside Target practicing with his weapon, wearing the shirt, and he's got his mom filming this. Okay. Now, to her, I'm thinking maybe she just thought, like, finally he's out of his room, right? They looked like they had a big piece of property and he was shooting out there. Like, maybe she thought finally, like, he's into something. He's target practice, but really he was practicing for something else. He did a YouTube video where he flipped a quarter. Now, he said, if this lands on heads, I will just take my own life. If it lands on tails, I'm going to go up to that grocery store that I work at, that my daddy manages, and I'm going to take everybody's life and then my life. And so on the video, he flips a coin and it's tails. And he's showing everybody on the camera. He's like, it's tails, it's tails. And then he flipped it 2 more times to see, who would get the 2 out of 3. And it was tails. And that's what he said. He said, that's it, you guys. I'm going to do it at the store. And all of this was posted on YouTube and people were watching it and nobody thought to contact the authorities. I guess nobody took him seriously. I don't know, you guys, but it was all on YouTube. On the night of June 7th of 2017, Randy, who was 24 years old at this time, showed up for his night shift at the Wise supermarket. He went in, but when he went in this time, he did something different that he had never done before. He set up barricades against all the doors, that a way when he began his plan, nobody could escape. He blocked the emergency exits, and then he went on to doing his nightly duties at work. He was stocking the shelves. At 12:10 a.m., this now being June 8th of 2017, Randy sent out links to Twitter and other places that had like all of the files, and it said like diaries and my plan, and it just had all of these videos. And at this point, I'm thinking Randy wanted to be famous. He thought he was going to be like the Columbine High School students. Or the Columbine High School shooters. He really thought that by sending all of this stuff out, and he thought he was going to go viral, and he thought that finally he would not be invisible. And at this point, Randy went and made sure all the doors were locked again. He pulled out his phone and started to record and pulled out his 2 weapons. Randy said that he was bringing 2 weapons in case something happened to one of them. He would definitely have the other. And this is when he began walking around in the store looking for his fellow employees. He shot and killed 3 employees, Victoria Brong, Brian Hayes, and Terry Lee Sterling. He approached another coworker named Kristen Newell, who had not heard any of the shooting that was going on because she had headphones in. So she had the music playing in her headphones while she was labeling items and stocking shelves near the rear of the store. Randy was seen on the surveillance camera footage standing behind her as she worked for about 5 seconds before he proceeded to the next aisle. So can you imagine, y'all, this young lady is in there with her headphones in, beep, 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 stalking the shelves, and Randy is walking around with his shotguns, killing people. Okay. And then it shows it on security footage later that he saw her on the aisle. He looked at her for about 5 seconds and he passed her. Randy would then go on to shoot different areas of the store, like different food items and aisles and just like, create destruction. And it seemed like he was trying to just like make a big mess. And then he went into the deli section of the store. He put the shotgun in his mouth and he took his own life. This was devastating in their community, as you guys can probably imagine. There was so many questions. People that worked at that store with him said that they would have never in a million years thought that he would do anything like this because he was just quiet. I mean, he was nice. He wasn't rude by any means to anybody, but he just came to work, did his thing, and he left. Nobody would have thought that he ever had a reason to do any of this. But the crazy thing about this is so many of his detailed videos about everything were uploaded to social media platforms, YouTube, and there was some on Twitter and just different online forums, and nobody took him seriously. And he really went through with all of this. Now, it's all obviously scary, but the reason why this bothers me the most, which all four of the lives that are lost is just a complete tragedy, and especially the 3 innocent people that lost their lives. Victoria Brong was 26 years old. She was the assistant tag manager for the market. And Brian Hayes, he was 47 years old, and he was the United States Navy veteran. And then there was Terry Lee Sterling, who was 63 years old, and his wife had passed away just before him. Randy actually fired 59 shots while he was there. I mean, he just went at it. But like I was saying, the part that disturbs me about this is just my personal opinion. The whole thing is disturbing, was the fact that he was in his room doing all of this. And it's like, what if his parents would have watched the videos? Because they know him. Maybe people on the internet. I mean, we all have a responsibility, I feel like, to help each other out if we see something, like if I ever see a video and I see a child being abused, you better believe I'm going to report it or anything. You know what I mean? But like if his parents would have seen it, they would have known. And he had been making these videos for years, like nobody thought to watch. And if you were, I feel for them because I feel like they were trying to do the right thing by encouraging him, like, hey, you're 24, you need to get up, get out and do something. But he was obviously very much struggling with his mental health, like bad, very depressed, I just don't know. And his parents have not released a statement other than their condolences for the family members that lost their lives. I searched the internet up and down trying to find an interview, trying to find what they thought. Could they have stopped it? Anything? And I couldn't find it. And it's also scary because I feel like in this day and age, so many parents are sending their kids to their rooms to play on the internet, whether it be a phone, whether it be a Switch, whether it be a tablet, an iPad, because they're out of their hair. As long as the kids are quiet, who cares if they spend 20 hours a day or 10 hours a day or 5 hours a day down the internet dark web of a rabbit hole? Which is also, if you guys did not know, that we have our youth, our Gen Z, love you guys. We have the most numbers, like record-setting numbers of depression and suicide that we've ever had. And I believe the internet plays a huge part in that. You're never going to see that be marketed to us on the news, though. You know what I mean? It's everything else. But the internet is having a really bad effect on the mental health of our youth, and sending our children to the room as long as they're quiet for however long they want to be is not it, you guys. So that's the story of Randy Stair. I mean, I feel like it could have been avoided. He counted it down online. He flipped the quarter online, but nobody was paying attention to him. What do you guys think? Have y'all heard about this? Have you ever heard of like a soul contract? Do you believe that you can have a connection with a cartoon fictional character? Let me know in the comment section down below. You guys have a very Merry Christmas. I hope Santa comes to visit every single one of y'all. I hope that y'all feel so loved. I hope that you eat lots of good food and you relax and you spend time together and you guys are all happy, and Merry Christmas. And as always, my loves, please do not forget to like this video. It's a free way that you can help your girl out. And until next time, I love you guys so very much. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye. Love you guys. Bye.
We are dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust.